going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a Toronto Raptors and Chicago Bulls game reaction. The Chicago Bulls in its first, I believe, game off of two back-to-backs. We got the Pacers, and then we got another back-to-back coming up after that. So a really tough period of games, stretched period of games. We traveled to Canada. We played in our first overtime game of our season, ladies and gentlemen, and we walked away with a loss away from home against a really formidable Toronto Raptors team. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show. Turn notifications on and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls game today. Who was your player of the game? What are your thoughts about our first overtime game for the Chicago Bulls? And overall, do you think we should have won this game in its entirety, I guess you could say? We lost this game 127 to 120. Overall, the Chicago Bulls did not play a great game in total. I think in terms of their offense and their defense, it was both rather slow. I think this game in total for both teams was pretty slow, but the overtime was definitely an exciting one in my opinion. It's our first one of our season, and I wouldn't say I miss playing in overtime, but it feels good to know that you stuck in there for so long. Considering where the Chicago Bulls were in this game, we had to keep on fighting all four quarters to eventually take the lead. And it's unfortunate that we did not do a lot of good things well, especially rebounding and defensively, to allow us to win a game like this, which is why they extended it to overtime. And of course, they walked away with the win at the end of the day. The last few plays for the Chicago Bulls were not good in my opinion. Few turnovers, unnecessary turnovers as well. A 122 to 120 point game. We had a rebound. I got the ball and turned it over straight away, which led to the three and obviously led to their win. At the end of the day, it's plays like that we'll learn from. Of course, this is Io's first overtime as well. It's the Chicago Bulls' first overtime this season. So eventually we will probably see more overtimes and we will eventually get used to playing in overtime. But again, Toronto was playing fantastic basketball coming into this game. They were pretty much, ever since their loss to us, they went on a 4-game win streak. So it was a tough team, and we all knew that coming in that we're going to be playing against. And I'm not surprised that we walked away with the loss, but I am going to say I'm very happy with how we fought. And that's all you could do in this league. You're not going to win every single game. I hate the fact that we've lost 7 out of 8 road games. That needs to improve dramatically. And again, with another away game coming up right after this one, we have to try and get some wins away from home. That's a key to being a good team, is when you can manage not only to defend home court, but to get wins away from your home. And that is very important. You have to try and win away as well. All good teams try to win away, and we have to do better in that regard. But we fought very well in this game. We were down the whole time. We didn't do things well like offensive rebounding or defensive rebounding, I should say. Both sides on rebounding was very poor. Second chance opportunity for Toronto was very evident, and points in the paint for Toronto were very evident. Their three-point shooting, surprisingly enough, again, players like Gary Trent may have got the last shot off for them to win the game, but their three-point shooting was not the key factor to their win today, and neither was our three-point shooting. We played very similar basketball, I would say, the Bulls and the Raptors. It was taking it into the paint and the mid-ranges and everything of that sort that led to their wins in this, I guess, in this game. But the Chicago Bulls, I'm not going to argue with how we fought. Of course, there could have been a couple of plays where if things went differently, we might win this game. But that's the NBA, ladies and gentlemen. You got to take it in stride. You got to accept what's been given. It's a very tough loss away from home. You can't argue that the Bulls gave everything that they could. They extended it to overtime, and now we've got a game to worry about against the Indiana Pacers. We have to put this in the back burner. It has to be left behind us, and we need to focus on our next game, because every win counts. Every win is important, and we have to try and beat the Indiana Pacers. Let's look at the individual performances, ladies and gentlemen, starting off with DeMar DeRozan, who had 28 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists, or 7 assists with 2 steals. Not the best DeMar DeRozan game you'll see out there. Of course, he dropped 28 and 7, so many people will disagree with me on that. But he did shoot 41% from the field, which is not accustomed to what we see from DeMar DeRozan on a regular basis. That's really the only argument I have in terms of that. I thought defensively he was okay. Obviously, he got to the foul line, 14 from 14 from the free throw line. That's what DeMar DeRozan does on a regular basis. When things are not working for him from the field, he goes to the line, he gets his foul calls, and he did that very well today. Not really too much else to say about DeMar. I think we could definitely see a lot better of a game from him, but this is far from his worst game, and he did play very well in my opinion. Ayo Dosunmu, ladies and gentlemen, had an 11 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists night with a block as well. He shot 41% from the field also, 1 from 5 from the three-point line. Obviously, his shooting was not his main, I guess, highlight of the game. He did get a really vital turnover for the Chicago Bulls that led to, I guess, their game-winning three. So reality is, maybe you could see that as a bad thing for Ayo, but every single time someone has a bad experience or someone does something poorly, or whatever the case may be when it comes to Ayo, he's a rookie. He will learn from these types of situations. It's not even a play that I think was too terrible, but it's just a very unfortunate circumstance. He gave the ball up too early. Gary Trent was running to Levine. Levine maybe wasn't exactly ready for that pass, and the reality is turnover, open three, easy as you like for the Toronto Raptors. And he will learn from that. Obviously, maybe he will learn to take a little bit of time off the clock and try to go for, I guess, a second overtime, or maybe go for the win away from home. Whatever it is that we decided to do, if we did manage to not give that turnover, only hypotheticals we could really talk about. But it's not a bad game from Ayo. His 8 assists were really fantastic to see. I like some of the passes that he does in the pick and roll. Again, he's very fantastic in trying to get players open from pick and rolls, and he's been for that for quite some time. Some ridiculously great passes, and he's turning out to be one hell of a point guard. Obviously, if his shooting was better, we would see probably a win for the Chicago Bulls, but the reality is he's far from the reason that we lost this game in my eyes. Zach LaVine had 15 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. Zach LaVine actually had one of his most efficient nights. He shot only 10 shots in this game in total, so you'd like to see that get a little bit boosted. I know Zach LaVine has not been having a great efficiency period in terms of, I guess, his stretch since his return, but 10 shots is a bit too low for me. I'd like to see Zach LaVine boost that up, but he shot 60% from the field, 2 from 4 from the three-point line. Obviously, this was a game where Zach played 42 minutes, but you could tell he was very hurt. He was holding his back when he had a missed layup. So these types of situations for Zach LaVine, maybe it was the best move to rest him, because obviously now we've walked away with the loss anyway, and there's a good chance he could rest against the Indiana Pacers just because it's a back-to-back, and it looks like he might have aggravated that injury a little bit. So again, if it becomes worse than what it is, it'll be very frustrating to see another injury, but hopefully it's not. Zach LaVine likes to fight through things. Maybe he'll fight through this injury, but if the rest is necessary, I'm willing to take that rest, because we need to think bigger picture. I did question Zach LaVine, and I guess I challenged him in many ways to get more assists in this game than his last game. He got 7 assists today, which is fantastic, but yeah, you can clearly see he was playing hurt, and it was not the Zach LaVine that we usually see. So we'll wait and see if he can end up becoming that in the next game, or maybe a rest is necessary just to get him a little bit of days until that Philly and the Phoenix Suns back-to-back. We do have a lot of back-to-backs to look forward to. Nikola Vucevic had 30 points, 18 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, and he played 39 minutes today. He scored 61% from the field, 4 from 6 from the three-point line, 13 from 21 overall. With Vucevic, it was an incredible game. You can't really say it in any other way. This was by far his best game of the season. 30 points. I think that's the first time he scored 30 points this season as well. I loved every single bit of it from Vucevic. Normally, when he goes out to the three-point line, I kind of feel like it's not the best move for him, because in recent games, he's not been going out to the three-point line. He's not been scoring at an efficient level. Today, obviously, was a good representation of what he can be from the three-point line, but consistency-wise, he's not been good from that area. So it was a great game from him today. Maybe it was one of his standout games of the season, but I hope next game we can continue to see him work in the post and work in the paint, because that's where he's got the most success from. If he's going to go out to the three-point line again and he struggles from the three-point line again, then we might see a bad Vucevic game coming up. I'm not really sure, but again, I just want to see him continue to do the things that he's been doing very well. He in the paint, offensive rebounds, getting post hooks, easy layups in the paint, pick and rolls, cutting to the basket, things like that. He's done very, very well over this stretch of games. I'd love to see that continue. But when you add the three-point shot to his game as well, it is something that's a big bonus for us. Javonte Green had 13 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. He was truly everywhere in today's game. Got a couple of easy points to the basket. He actually went to the free throw line 8 times in this game, something that Javonte Green has been doing a lot recently, cutting to the basket and getting fouls, making sure that they're playing physical. And he definitely did his job in that area. Energy-wise and defensively, he was everywhere as well. A classic Javonte Green performance, I guess you could say. It's a shame that his performance couldn't lead to a win for the Chicago Bulls, because he truly was everywhere on the court, especially on a defensive end. Moving into our bench scoring, ladies and gentlemen, I have a big issue with our bench, ladies and gentlemen, because, again, we played about a few plays in this game. We played off of our bench Kobe White, Troy Brown Jr., Tony Bradley, and Matt Thomas, and Tyler Cook as well. So, a lot of guys coming off of that bench today. And we had 2 players on that bench that actually scored the basketball. You can put that down to starters, you can put that down to lack of ball movement, put it down to whatever you want. That needs to change. Obviously, we don't have our best bench out there, but that's not an excuse to not be able to score the ball and to not be able to take your shots as well. Some players simply did not even take any shots in this game. And we're going to get to them now, ladies and gentlemen. Kobe White had 16 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists in this game, 6 from 15 overall, 4 from 8 from the three-point line. It's not a good Kobe White performance because there were a few mistakes that he made, and those are the things that are going to be targeted out, running into, I guess, guys and turning the ball over. And he's working very hard. You can see that he's a very good work ethic, and when he makes a mistake, he's determined to make up for it. But overall, it was a good scoring game from Kobe White. 16 points off the bench would be huge for us if we had other bench players scoring. But at the end of the day, they kind of went to nothing, and some of the bad things did stand out for him. It's by far not his worst game of his season, definitely not. But you can see there were a couple of times where he played a little bit too fast, a little bit out of his comfort zone, but he still managed to get 16 points off of this bench, which would have been huge if he walked away with the win. Troy Brown Jr. had 5 points and 4 rebounds. 3-point shot was not great from him, 1 from 4, 2 from 6, and overall from the field in total. So not a terrible game from Troy Brown Jr., but again, not his best that I've seen. But outside of those 2 guys, no one else scored off of this bench except for Tyler Cook. So Troy Brown Jr., Tony Bradley, I should say, only got 3 rebounds and 2 blocks in this game. And he didn't even take a shot in this game. So that's something that needs to improve. The center not taking a shot, especially when we are, I guess, bigger in the center department. We have 2 7-footers that were playing a lot of minutes today, and Tony Bradley didn't take a shot. Matt Thomas didn't take a shot in this game. He's a 3-point shooter. He's there. Main reason is to provide buckets. And he could not provide those buckets for the Chicago Bulls today. 3 rebounds and a block. That's not bad defensively from him. But if he's there and he's not shooting the ball, if he's not creating space to shoot the ball, what is he really there for, ladies and gentlemen? And Tyler Cook with 2 points and 1 rebound. He's, I guess, one of the fouls that he got, one of the offensive rebounds that he missed, is one of the worst plays I've seen in basketball. He jumped way too late to get that ball. The ball was already on the ground, and yet he's jumping to try and get it. That makes no sense on how that happens. You have to get that offensive rebound, and I think that play alone just sent him to the bench not to play again. That was a really poor display from Tyler Cook, but again, he did end up getting a scoring opportunity. He had 2 points in today's game, so he was one of the only bench players to score outside of Kobe and Troy Brown Jr. But bench scoring has to be bigger. Kobe White can't be the only one that's going to be scoring on this team. That's why I'm really looking forward to seeing when Caruso comes back off of the bench, when Io goes back to the bench as well, and we have the starters and the bench players available, even a player like Derrick Jones Jr. as well. They do make a difference, of course they do, but these has to be in the next man up mentality. Every team is going through injuries. The team that we faced in the Toronto Raptors are going through injuries. There's no excuses in this league. Players have to have that next man up mentality, and in this game specifically, too many people did not step up and make some things happen for their team. And the reality is, that's a big reason as to why we lost. You can't rely on Kobe White and Kobe White alone to be the one shooting the ball and scoring the ball. It's not good enough from our bench. We need to see a lot better from them. Looking at the must improve, I think in this game specifically, I'm probably it's a hard one, you know, because we played a hell of a game in terms of getting into overtime. We fought very, very well. You could give it to Tony Bradley, I guess, but the reality is I believe he had the highest plus minus on the team when he was on. Again, a couple of turnovers that weren't great from him. Tyler Cook could be one as well, but he only played 3 minutes. Do you really want to give it to a guy that really didn't make an impact? I don't really know who to give it to, ladies and gentlemen. So, in the comments below, let me know the must improve. I guess you can make that the official must improve of the video if enough people do make that, I guess, response to the video, to the question. If you guys want a must improve, let me know in the comments below, and I guess whoever you guys really think is the must improve will be the must improve. It might be very hard to give it to some of these guys, but the reality is some of these guys didn't step up and some guys did step up. But I feel like giving it to Tyler Cook is a bit of there's no point in doing that. He only played 3 minutes. And Tony Bradley, he did do some decent things on the floor. So I don't really know who to give it to, even though we did lose the game. The player of the game is a very easy one to give, though. It's Nikola Vucevic. He was truly sensational in this game and his best game of his season. Of course, what's going to happen in the next game with Vucevic? That's the key now, ladies and gentlemen, because we've seen a fantastic game for Vucevic. How is he going to retaliate from a game like that? Is he going to have a very similar game? Is he going to be poor again? Is he going to be what he was in the past few weeks and just take it to the paint and make his impact there? That's what I'm looking forward to seeing with Nikola Vucevic, because he's had great games like this before, and sometimes it's been a one and done type of game for him. He has one great game and then the next game he's not exactly doing things for the Chicago Bulls. Let's see how he retaliates in that area, and if he can have a great game again, maybe we can have that conversation of Vucevic being back for the Chicago Bulls. He's had a good week and a half now of basketball. It's still not enough for me to change my mind. I have to see more of it from Vucevic. 1 or 2 good weeks of basketball can't really change the inconsistent season overall that he's had. That's months and months of basketball that we're talking about. So let's just see him keep it up, and the next game up mentality. Next game mentality for Vucevic. Let's see what he does tomorrow against the Indiana Pacers. The Bulls' record is 32-19. I still believe we sit first in the Eastern Conference. Miami did pick up a win, I believe, but their 2 losses to Toronto as well might have helped us continue and maintain that first seed. Obviously, that's really important for us. We want to be the first seed in the Eastern Conference. There could also be a chance if we are the first seed, Billy Donovan could be coaching that All-Star game. So we have to keep it up for the Chicago Bulls and try and get that accomplishment for our team, but also for Billy Donovan. Our next game is going to be against the Indiana Pacers off of a back-to-back. Again, we have a lot to look forward to in that regard. It's a really tough game against the Indiana Pacers now. I don't think they have Sabonis, but even if they don't have Sabonis, you got to be realistic. We just had an overtime game and we're traveling from Canada back to Indiana. I'm not sure the time frame of how much that travel is, but it's a different country. Going into Indiana now, 2 away games. We've not been great away, and we're probably going to be tired from this overtime game. Things are not looking in our favor, but I trust this team to beat any team in the Eastern Conference at times. And of course, we did lose this game, but we've beaten Toronto before. We have beaten the Pacers before. So let's go out and try and dominate and try to get things going from the very beginning. And maybe we can make this game out of the picture for the Pacers very early. I think that's what the Bulls need to go for, because we know we're going to get tired towards the end of the game. So we need to keep working at the beginning to try to make sure we can take it away from them early. Let's see what happens. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video, ladies and gentlemen. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care.